London St Pancras International. Change here for other national rail services, including Eurostar services to mainland Europe. Also change here for London Underground. Exit here for London King's Cross and the British Library.
Oyster and contactless payments may only be used on certain routes and specific stations. Please check the route maps by the entrance doors for full information.
Hello, and welcome to King's Cross St Pancras in North London. I am quite literally in between the two major railway stations. Today, I will be travelling with East Midlands Railway for the first time to Sheffield in South Yorkshire aboard one of their Class 222 Meridian fleet. But before I do, time to get a big breakfast box from Leon. I digress. This area of London has 3 railway stations very near to each other. Euston on the West Coast Main Line, King's Cross on the East Coast Main Line, and St Pancras. King's Cross and St Pancras are literally across the road from each other, so let's have a look. Thameslink, Great Northern, LNER, Hull Trains, Lumo and Grand Central operate from here to places such as Cambridge, King's Lynn, Peterborough, Lincoln, Leeds, Skipton, Bradford, York, Middlesbrough, Newcastle, Sunderland, Edinburgh, Inverness and Aberdeen. Basically anywhere north of London but's on the east coast of the UK. Right, time to cross the road and head to St Pancras International. St Pancras was opened on the 1st of October 1868 and was operated by the Midland Railway. The lower area of the station was originally used for freight, especially beer from Burton-upon-Trent. I could do with some of that. Immediately upon entering, you're greeted by Eurostar's check-in. Fortunately, we don't have to do this as we're travelling domestically. St Pancras International is served by South Eastern high-speed services via High Speed 1 to Kent, such as Canterbury, Margate, Ramsgate, Faversham and Dover, Eurostar services to France, Belgium and the Netherlands, Thameslink services through central London to Luton, Bedford, Cambridge, Gatwick Airport, Three Bridges, Brighton, Sutton, Rochester and Chatham, Orpington, Sevenoaks and East Grinstead in the Peak, and, well, most places in the south. I've probably missed loads. And East Midlands Railway services to Luton Airport Parkway, Corby, Nottingham and Sheffield. I love how the information screens have wayfinders because the station is really confusing. St Pancras has a lot of eateries and shops and is basically a shopping centre with a train station attached. There are lots of food outlets, posh supermarkets, M&S, fancy clothing stores, even a Fortnum and Mason, even a Hamleys for some reason. One of the best things about walking around St Pancras is its amazing train shed architecture. It's made up of 25 arched trusses, each weighing 55 tonnes. St Pancras also possesses 2 very nice Yamaha pianos, one in which used to be owned by Elton John. Unfortunately, one was being tuned at the time of visiting, so I wasn't really able to play. Anyway, time to head to a platform. All platforms are 5 metres from the ground. I don't know why that's relevant, but I just learned that when researching. The East Midlands Railway platforms have a view over the Eurostar platforms. There's a couple more shops and a fancy bar on this level of the station. There's about half an hour until our train leaves. We're so early that the train before us heading to Sheffield hasn't left yet. We will be catching the 12:32 service to Sheffield. Trains with East Midlands Railway leaving St Pancras are somewhat frequent. The waiting area itself can get really busy and the seating could be improved. If you've stayed with me this long, well done. It's now time to actually go and get on the train, which is probably the bit which you've been waiting for the most. East Midlands Railway services depart from St Pancras' platforms 1 to 4. Our train will be leaving from platform 3. It's not this train here, though this train, 222104, is the only train for the Class 222s to have an actually really nice livery, which is the design on the outside of the train. East Midlands Railway services at St Pancras do platform shares, because Meridians are either 5 or 7 coaches, and often more than one train can fit on the platform at a time. Anyways, it's time to board. As you can see, I have a walking stick. I had recent surgery when filming this. It's not going to be the case for all videos, but it does make recording a little bit more shaky. We're in seats 8 and 9. Talking about seats, it's time for a seat review. All airline style seats have a flip down sturdy table with a groove for a cup. These trains have some of the most reliable train tables. There's a little groove for physical reservations, although most reservations are done electronically now. There is a fold down armrest on the aisle, middle and window side of the seat. Both the seat and the armrest are generously large and well padded, and I love the wing design at the top of the seat to support your head. There is one 3-pin plug socket per seat, a little bit outdated, and a heated ventilation system. I can't say much about the legroom, it's great. Great legroom means that there's a lot of space to store bags, as well as these brilliant overhead bag holders, and there's also luggage racks. These trains have onboard screens, although they seldom work. And I showed this earlier, but they do have reservation systems which are very clear, although not quite as good as those on the Class 800s. I really enjoyed just watching the Eurostar from my seat. I mean, just knowing that it's going to go back into Kent and then into mainland Europe.
Onboard 1232 East Midlands Railway service for Sheffield, calling at Leicester, Loughborough, East Midlands Parkway, Long Eaton, Derby, Chesterfield and Sheffield. They were due to arrive at 14:42.
And exactly on time at 12:32, we are leaving St Pancras International. This is really exciting for me. Not only that this is the first time that I'm going on to the Midland Main Line and leaving St Pancras not on a Thameslink train or a Javelin, but the fact that I'm going to end up in Sheffield at the end of the journey. Not everyone would say something like that, but you know, I have my reasons. It's also nice to just generally go onto East Midlands Railway for the first time. Immediately after leaving St Pancras, you can see High Speed 1 diverging. That goes on to Stratford in East London, then on to Ebbsfleet International in Kent, Ashford International again in Kent, then on to Dover, Folkestone, domestic services to Margate, Ramsgate, Faversham, something like that, and trains obviously into Europe as well.
Good afternoon, welcome on board 1232 East Midlands Railway service for Sheffield, calling at Leicester, Loughborough, East Midlands Parkway, Long Eaton, Derby, Chesterfield and Sheffield, where we are due to arrive at 14:42. Service is formed of 5 coaches. We have first accommodation at the front in coach G and the front portion of coach D. Standard accommodation is in coaches A, B, C and the rear portion of coach D. Safety posters are placed throughout the train. If you could take a few moments to read through these. In the interest of safety and security, please do keep a close eye on your personal belongings. If you do see anything suspicious, do speak to a member of our team, or you can text the British Transport Police on 61016. We'll be calling first at Leicester and we're due to arrive there at 13:36. If you are travelling with our first class tickets this afternoon, I do apologise, will be a very limited catering service available. This is due to a fault with catering equipment.
I'm not in first class, but that's a bit of a downside. And very soon after leaving St Pancras, we pass through Kentish Town Station. Our journey to Sheffield today runs along the entire Midland Main Line. It was built between the 1830s and 1870s. Because of financial problems from the Crimean War, this line was designed with cost cutting in mind, which is why it follows lots of natural gradients, which makes the line quite curved based. The The maximum speed of the line is 125 miles an hour. One thing I did note about these trains is how I quite like how these seats are conjoined. They're not particularly pretty, but it does mean that no one's going to stare over you and watch what you're doing. Additionally, the lighting on these trains is really pleasant. It's a nice change from Great Western Railway's hospital-grade brightness. Even if they are shockingly overpriced, it is still really pleasing to see a trolley or buffet service provided on a train. I don't really see it much anymore. I didn't actually buy anything, but it was tempting. It was really tempting. We're now passing what I believe to be Cricklewood Depot. Do correct me if I'm wrong, but Thameslink Class 700s for north-south services around London are based here. Well, some of them are based here. We're currently passing Brent Cross West Station, which is really new. It opened on the 10th of December 2023. One of my main problems is that these outdated plug sockets mean that this charger does not work. So I've fortunately got a power bank, but it's a bit inconvenient if you ask me. Talking about things that doesn't work, neither does the Wi-Fi. It says that it has free Wi-Fi, but it seems to be broken, or there's none, or I don't know. It advertises Wi-Fi and there doesn't seem to be any, which is annoying because the signal here is rubbish. We then pass through Luton Airport Parkway, which of course has direct connections to Luton Airport, and I'm currently restraining myself from making a joke about Luton. If you are watching this from Luton, I do apologise. Well, there you have it, video evidence of Alder being in Luton. We're definitely beginning to pick up speed. Now for a little bit of a short history of the trains that we are on, which is the Class 222. The Class 222s are part of the Bombardier Voyager family, which also includes the Class 220 and 221, operated by Cross Country and Grand Central, as well as previously Avanti West Coast and Virgin Trains. 27 units were built in Belgium between 2003 and 2005. The trains were originally built as 4 and 9 coach units, although were modified to become 5 and 7 coaches. Whilst being part of the Voyager family of trains, these trains have their own unique name, being called the Meridian. The trains were refurbished between 2011 and 2014, and much more recently, especially during the time of filming in October 2024, the refurbishment I think is almost complete as of mid-2025. Nothing about the train has actually really been changed, but the seats have got a new grey-ish design rather than having red seats, and the general interior looks a lot more fresh. These trains have not got long left with East Midlands Railway, as they are soon to be replaced with the Class 810 Aurora sets from Hitachi. Those trains will be bi-mode, so being able to travel on diesel and also drawing current from the 25,000 volts AC overhead line system, which means those trains will be a lot more environmentally friendly than the Class 222s, which are just solely diesel, and will support the ongoing instalment of overhead lines along the Midlands Main Line. I'm not sure where the Class 222s are going to go after East Midlands Railway. It's very, very unlikely that they'll be scrapped. Some people suggest cross country, some say ScotRail. There's nothing confirmed, so if you're watching this in the future, please do tell me in the comments, where have they gone? Thought I might as well check the progress of the train using Real-Time Trains. It is a brilliant website, though it did take me a minute to realise that my train wasn't even on show. There we go. We didn't even leave on time, we were early. This is a very good sign. And of course, going on to the advanced mode of the website, I was able to check specific details about the journey. Apart from that one report at Flitwick, we seem to be running on time, which is wonderful.
To Leicester. If you are leaving the train here, please do retain tickets and travel documents. There are barriers at the exits. And do ensure you have all your luggage and personal belongings with you. If you do see anything suspicious, do speak to a member of our team, or you can contact the British Transport Police via text on 61016. Leicester is our next station call.
Just over an hour after leaving London St Pancras International, and, well, as you've heard, we're arriving into Leicester. St Pancras to Leicester is the longest gap between two stations on this service, both in terms of distance, I think, and in terms of time. Leicester is a city in Leicestershire and is located on the River Soar. We are 90 miles from London. It got a lot more busy at Leicester compared to St Pancras. I know that's the point of trains, but just worth noting.
Good afternoon, welcome on board. You joined us there at Leicester, 1338 East Midlands Railway service for Sheffield. Calling at Loughborough, East Midlands Parkway, Long Eaton, Derby, Chesterfield and Sheffield, where we are due to arrive at 14:42. Safety posters are placed throughout the train. If you could take a few moments to read through these. In the interest of safety and security, please do keep a close eye on your personal belongings. If you do see anything suspicious, do speak to a member of our team, or you can text the British Transport Police on 61016.
The best thing about leaving London is how brilliant the countryside gets. It is by no means the most scenic route I've been on. I've got the West Highland Line review for that. I mean, look at those electricity pylons, but it's still nice to look at. Anyways, we are now arriving at Loughborough. After the hour gap between London St Pancras and Leicester, most of the stops come really quickly now. It isn't long before we'll move again. Obviously, with this being my first time on the line, it's interesting to see all this new architecture and scenery to me. I really like Loughborough's station design. The historic middle of the platform just looks really pleasing to sit down and wait for a train at. We're now passing the factory for Brush Electrical Machinery. In years gone by, Brush Traction was a manufacturer of trains in the UK. Ironically, one of the trains that I travelled on to get from my home station to St Pancras was on a train originally with parts from Brush, the Class 465 with Brush motors.
Good afternoon, welcome if you joined us there at Loughborough, 1348 East Midlands Railway service for Sheffield. Calling at East Midlands Parkway, Long Eaton, Derby, Chesterfield and Sheffield, where we're due to arrive at 14:42.
I've got no hot water left, I'm afraid.
It's nice to see that the refreshment trolley comes around more than once. One thing I did notice, not related to the refreshments trolley, is the significant use of manual announcements on East Midlands Railway services.
If you're leaving us here, please ensure you have all your personal belongings with you. East Midlands Parkway is our next station call.
For example, that. Doing some research, I found out that the Class 222s do in fact have automated announcements. I have linked a YouTube clip to it in the description. However, they are not used because they don't have announcements for East Midlands Parkway and Corby because of the age of the announcements and both stations being new. Talking about East Midlands Parkway, that's our next stop. It was opened on the 26th of January 2009 and is 4 miles away from East Midlands Airport. Being a parkway, it also provides links to the M1 motorway. As the Midland franchise used to be operated by Stagecoach ran East Midlands trains, as well as Megabus being run by Stagecoach, there used to be a multimodal system using the parkway for coach services. Services would run from St Pancras to East Midlands Parkway, which would then connect onto coach services such as to Hull via Scunthorpe, Hull via York, Doncaster and Castleford, as well as Bradford via Huddersfield and Halifax. The eastern leg of High Speed 2 was originally planned to connect here, although that's now been cancelled. While passing through East Midlands Parkway, one of the things that I noted is how beautiful the scenery is. This is Ratcliffe-on-Soar power station, which was opened in 1968, although it was closed 1 month before this review was filmed on the 30th of September 2024. It was the last coal-fired power station in the UK. The site has plans for redevelopment, for example, being a waste incineration plant.
If you are leaving the train here, you will only be able to do so from the front 4 coaches, that's coaches B, C, D and G, as Long Eaton station has a short platform. The doors in coach A at the rear will not be opened. Please ensure you have all your personal belongings. Long Eaton is our next station call.
We've hardly even left East Midlands Parkway before we're arriving at Long Eaton. Looking at the timetable, there's only 4 minutes between the two stations, which is a very direct contrast from the hour between London and Leicester. Researching the town while editing, I didn't find anything particularly noteworthy, although it is a very good sign that you're entering the north when the town has a brass band. Something really odd to note in the review, but I like the placement and design of the lights in these trains. Soon we arrive at Derby, which is very well known for its railway heritage. Originally being known as a market town, Derby is now very well known within the transport industry. Rolls-Royce manufacture here, Toyota's headquarters are near here, and in the context of trains, we've just passed East Midlands Railway's Etches Park depot, and Alstom, although formerly Bombardier, have a manufacturing facility at Derby Litchurch Lane Works, originally commencing production in the 1840s. Prior to Bombardier owning Litchurch Lane, British Rail Engineering Limited owned the facility. We are now 127 miles from London St Pancras. Derby Station itself is a major interchange point. Trains with East Midlands Railway run to London St Pancras, Sheffield, Crewe, Matlock, Nottingham and Newark Castle. Meanwhile, Cross Country run a very regular service to Birmingham New Street, with services to Edinburgh, Aberdeen, Bristol Temple Meads, Plymouth, Penzance, Nottingham, Gloucester and Cardiff Central. I love how despite Derby having lots of history relating to the railways, its station still appears to be really modern, definitely keeping up with the times.
Good afternoon, welcome if you joined us there at Derby, 1412 East Midlands Railway service, calling at Chesterfield and Sheffield. Due to arrive Chesterfield at 14:30 and Sheffield at 14:42.
Lots of this review has been shot looking at a window, so it's very good to get a bit of a gander throughout the train to show you more of what's actually inside. Obviously, as you saw, there's lots of space for luggage. There is a buffet. I'm not sure if it's actually still used or not, considering that they have a trolley providing catering. Still, provides more standing room, I guess. There is another standard class coach. As you can tell, the service was quite busy, although not full and standing. And then we enter into a combo standard first class. I'll do a quick mini review of those seats in a minute. Considering this coach is both first and standard class, it is really quiet, and I think next time I travel on a class 222, if it's still with East Midlands Railways, I'm just going to sit there. There is a accessible toilet on board. Fortunately, it's out of use, so I don't have to go in and review it. I'm very happy about that. Safety information is provided. Gosh, I sounded like a train manager. Alder vlogging as a guard when. There is also folding seats in the vestibule areas, which is really useful for busy trains. Advertising free Wi-Fi? It doesn't work. We then enter into first class, which of course has advertised catering on board. Pause if you would like to have a look. Alternatively, find it on East Midlands Railway's website. Looking at the menu though, it does look kind of lacking. I love how for first class you pay to have a really nice seat, and then you find out half your coach is standard class. The seats are a lot bigger in a 2+1 configuration with reclining seats. It is much more comfortable than standard class. You get a curtain at every window, which is much better than some trains' blinds. And that's about it. Sat back in my main seat now because, well, I did reserve it, and the table is somewhat dirty in that fake first class seat.
The approach to Chesterfield. If you're leaving us here, please ensure you have all your personal belongings with you. Chesterfield is our next station call.
That is indeed correct. We are arriving into Chesterfield, and a good indicator, if you are near Chesterfield, is looking out for the crooked spire. It's not every day you notice a building with scoliosis. Chesterfield itself is a market town, though it has made an attempt to join with Sheffield in a combined authority. Talking of Sheffield, we're only 11 miles away now. Well, that's the penultimate stop done. We're almost at the end of our journey. That means it's probably a good time to share my final thoughts about the journey, the Class 222 and East Midlands Railway generally. Considering that this is my first journey with East Midlands Railway and my first journey along the Midland Main Line, I've been given a fairly good impression. The trains have had a really nice refurbishment, the staff are really great, there's a regular catering facility. Seat comfort is good enough, just about, for a 2-hour journey. And the legroom is more than acceptable, although I do admit I'm being biased here as I am sitting in a priority seat. However, I do have problems with the fact that although these trains are 20 years old, that there is only one plug socket between two seats, with no USB options, and the fact that the plugs don't even work. There was also no Wi-Fi to connect onto. These aren't one-off issues, or they may be, but travelling back home the next day, the plug sockets were still not working on a different unit, and while a Wi-Fi name came up, it didn't work. General cleanliness has been acceptable, although, as you may have seen in the first class section, random tissues. Obviously, if that was done during the journey, then fair enough, I can't really complain, but it is something to consider. While I was praising for my own benefit that the toilets weren't working, it is a necessity on a long journey, and so this is a downside. Generally though, it's been a really nice journey. The lighting's been really inviting, the views have been great, and I haven't felt in pain when sitting down. Oh, and there's ample luggage space as well. The ride quality could be a bit improved. I mean, it is a diesel train, but it is incredibly loud at some points. Dividing up for my return, it cost £23 to travel from Kent to Sheffield without a rail card. That is off-peak, but it is still midweek and exceptional for today's pricing of tickets. If I'd used my rail card, that would have been £15.34. Obviously this doesn't include the return, the price was a bit higher, but specifically for this journey, that is how much it cost. So the value for money was well worth it. I don't really do numerical ratings for reviews, although if I were to roughly place it somewhere here, without the consideration of the cost, I would have said it was about a 7 out of 10, although with the benefit of it being extremely cheap, it is definitely an 8.5. And the sun has come out as I've arrived in Sheffield, which is brilliant. It clearly wants me to be here. It was really nice to arrive in Sheffield after 2 hours of travelling. And it was pleasing to know that I arrived on time. I'm definitely ready to get off and stretch my legs. No time to waste for this service, it's leaving back for St Pancras in 15 minutes and already boarding. Though I'm not ready to go back to London, so let's find the way out. A very standard welcome to the north. I hear that a train operated by Northern is cancelled. And I'm greeted by the wonderful architecture of Sheffield Station. It's so airy and open, I love it. Also, it's not raining for once. Anyways, that is the end of the review and therefore end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you've reached all the way to the end, I commemorate you. That is a skill for an Alder video. Have a good rest of your day.